Hello and welcome to the Raptors Shot Chart. I'm your host, Wayne Lou. Today we are watching Gary Trent Jr.'s career high 44 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which he shot 17 of 19 from the field. It was an absurd shooting performance, and one that had Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam talking.
Honestly, Will, I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's a better shooter than I thought he was. Like, he really can shoot the ball. Like, I didn't know he can shoot the ball, and he makes tough shots, right? The Cleveland game, me and Pascal were talking, and he was like, man, this kid makes tough shots. Like, he's a tough shot maker.
So what did Kyle mean about tough shots? Well, let's watch them, because there were quite a few tough shots, and the fact that he shot 17 of 19 is outrageous. Okay, so the first shot, not that tough actually. This is just bad defense. So the dribble handoff's going to come between Boucher and Gary Trent. And the Cavs make two mistakes here. One, you see here, Colin Sexton takes a really bad route to get to the ball. He gets really screened here by Boucher. So he's really late. And then compounded with the fact that the Cavs are playing a drop defense, which means that they're going to keep their big man off pick and rolls closer to the paint than up to the perimeter. And so the combination of just a really bad route defensively by Sexton, plus you can see Dean Wade sort of sitting back, that leaves a lot of space, one dribble to sort of get his balance, and effortless shot for Gary Trent. Okay, so when Kyle's talking about tough shots, this is what he's talking about. Okay, so this is tough right here. So Gary's forced to create a little bit here. He's going to attack. You see Cedi Osman. He's actually momentarily cutting off Gary Trent here, helping off of whoever, probably OG in the corner or Stanley, just to cut off the initial drive. So Gary's going to be patient with it. He's going to wait for Stanley to clear out, and that's going to pull Cedi Osman with him to get more spacing for Gary to drive. So Gary's going to then try to take Garland off the dribble. And you can see he's going to muscle his way there. Garland's quicker than him. He's smaller, but he is quicker. And he does cut him off to the point where Gary has to then turn. But Gary's very strong. This is one element of his game that I don't think I appreciated before he came to Toronto, was just how strong he is. Because look at this. He's able to turn the hard jab step going backwards. And, that takes a lot of strength to sort of drive that hard and then pivot and go the other way. Step back, and he gets really good balance every time he steps back. His step back is a very pronounced move. You'll see it a lot, and he's always getting really good distance on it, and you'll see what I mean later on. But yeah, that's a tough move. Okay, that's ridiculous. First off, I don't know how that's not an and one. That should be an and one. But so OG has the ball right side of the floor. He's gonna work a pick and roll here. Not that much happening. You'll see Garland here is going to help off and try to cut off OG's drive to the lane. Actually, Cleveland playing defense kind of a lot like the way the Raptors play. Raptors love doing this, sending a third guy into the play. So, okay, so then the help comes. Actually, that's Okoro, my bad. And the ball is going to swing to Gary Trent. And so at this point, Gary's going to see a defense where there's not a good opportunity to drive here, mostly because I thought Flynn should have just stayed where he was instead of cutting through here. If he stayed where he was, it could have been a quick one more pass to Flynn, and Flynn could have gotten open three, but instead Flynn cuts through. Not a bad option, but that does allow the Cavs defense to reset. But what Gary sees here is, look, he's gonna be patient with the ball. He's gonna survey, and he's gonna notice that Okoro is gonna lead the situation. Obviously, he's not just gonna hard double him at the top of the floor. And Gary's gonna then read that, drive to his right, get into the mid-range area. And honestly, this is pretty good defense by the Cavs, but there's definitely body contact there by Isaiah Hartenstein. And yeah, I mean, that's a really tough shot by Gary. I don't know how that's not an and one. All right, so on the surface, it's a very simple shot, and it really is. It's just a pick and roll on one side of the floor. The Cavs are helping over again. As you can see, they're sending that third player into the play. That leaves Gary open, and Gary's going to shoot this ball. Now, what I like about this play is that you could say, well, Gary should have rotated the ball to OG because OG's open on the corner here, and there's only one guy, Dean Wade, who can come up to close out to OG. And if that's the case, OG can then slide it to Boucher, who can either cut inside for a dunk or just take the open corner three. And so, you might even say Gary should have passed this because there is a 2-on-1 in the situation. But I have to say, I just like the confidence here, man. Because look, listen, Gary's a guy where if you'll notice soon that if the guy's not gonna block his shot, he's gonna take that shot. So right here, Chetty Osman's gonna stunt over, but he's not gonna leave his feet and try to contest. He's actually just gonna stay on the ground. And Gary reads this really well and just shoots over the top. And that's great confidence. It really is. Again, great confidence. This is what happens when you're up 25 and you haven't missed a shot yet. Is you come down the floor here. He's leading the break. You know, not that much is happening for the Raptors. What you'll actually see is that the Cavs almost run a pick and roll themselves because Hardenstein is screening whoever this is guarding the ball against Gary. And although they kind of do sort it out, Gary's able to read that, get into the mid-range area, force a bit of a switch, right? Because you'll see the guard, I think this is Okoro, you know, he's going to start to pick up Boucher here, and the big man's going to come and guard Gary. And Gary sees this, he sees the big man, and he's just going to shoot. He knows the big can't come up and get a hand up fast enough. He's absolutely right. The contest is nowhere near the shot, and Gary with great balance in the mid-range makes that shot. Yep, very similar to that first play we saw with the Cavs making mistakes. So Gary's going to bring the ball up the floor here. This is probably some of the stuff he wasn't able to do that much in Portland, maybe with some of their bench units, but just bringing the ball up, right? He's going to make the decision here. And the Cavs do meet him really high, which I get. I mean, he hasn't missed yet, but this is almost stupidly high because, like, this is not Steph Curry range. You don't need to go over the screen here. And Freddie Gillespie sets a really good screen, takes Okoro out of the play entirely. Okoro's still recovering from the play, even as Gary Trent's going into a shot. I mean, he's nowhere in the vicinity of trying to contest here. And the big man here, Isaiah, I mean, he's in a terrible situation. He could have stepped up to help, but that would leave Gillespie open on the roll. But at least there would be a help defense, maybe to recover for him. But, I mean, he's just in a tough situation. Like, do you really expect him to be at the three-point line with 17 seconds left? And yeah, Gary Trent sees this open corner, or open pull-up three. Unbelievable. Yeah, so that's another example of what I'm saying is, so this is almost a heat check for Gary. So he's bringing the ball up again, and he's going to get that screen from Freddie, but the screen doesn't even actually come. He's actually just going to size up his guy, Dean Wade, and that's a 6'9" forward. He's got pretty good length. I mean, he's definitely taller and bigger than Gary, but Gary's just going to put it through his legs. He's going to see how mobile this guy is, and then he's just going to go into that pull-up. And you could say that's a pretty good contest. You know, that's like that Shane Battier, Kobe Bryant contest where he puts the hand up in the face instead of trying to block the shot. But this is also a Kobe Bryant versus Shane Battier type of make where he's just shooting it over the guy. So, that's tough. That's tough. So again, Gary scored every bucket at this point. So he's bringing the ball up again, as you can see, 19 seconds in the possession here. And he's going to get that early screen from Boucher. The Cavs continue to try to fight through these screens. But again, you know, Okoro, really, really bad screen defense there. Gets caught up on Boucher. He's hung up on the play. And Taurean Prince is now the guy who has the responsibility to help, which, to be honest, is better than at least using a center to help because, you know, Prince is a wing and he's more mobile than a center is, so he can come up higher. But as you can see, Gary's going to make that hard jab going into the paint, sort of sell that drive, but then go back to a step back. And again, look at that footwork on the step back, right? Looks right there, looks so convincing as a drive, and then boom, 1-2 into a shot, and you know that creates that separation. You know, Taurean Prince is another guy who's bigger than him, but you know Trent's able to shoot over the top. Wow. That's a very smart play, and you might think that's a breakdown on Cavs defense, but that's actually Gary Trent outsmarting the defense. So what you'll see here is that the Cavs are tired of getting scored on by Gary Trent, so they put their best man on the job, and that is Matthew Dellavedova. I'm not even kidding. Delly might be one of their best defenders. In any case, so what Delly's going to do here, he's going to top lock Gary Trent Jr., which means that he's going to play not just between Gary and the basket, but between Gary and the ball. So you'll see here that it looks like he's almost out of position, but it's intentional. What he's trying to do is prevent Gary from coming up top. Top blocking is a strategy that is commonly used against guys like, you know, JJ Redick, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, elite shooters basically, who basically like to operate off the ball and like to operate around screens. And so the point of this is to prevent them from using screens with an aggressive strategy. And so what Delly's anticipating here is that OG's coming to set a screen for Gary, and so he doesn't want the play to develop that way. So he's gonna push Gary. And when he sees this, he's gonna anticipate Gary going around that screen. So he's gonna really try to deny Gary from catching the ball. And Gary sees this too. But what Gary sees is that there is an open paint right here, right? And he's gonna trust that if he makes a good cut this way, that Malachi Flynn, his point guard, is gonna be able to see that he's improvising and find him with the pass. And so what Gary's gonna do is he's gonna set up right there. He's gonna set up Delly as if he's gonna go through the screen through OG, and he's gonna cut that way, but then he's gonna cut hard back. And you'll see Delly is so far behind the play here now at this point. And Malachi Flynn's gonna, be a good point guard here. He's gonna find him. Really good pass. Honestly, I thought Gary could have, honestly even alley-ooped that, with a layup. But in any case, Gary Trent catches, has time. Delly's small, and he's able to use his strength and finish over them. To be honest, could have been an and one there too. A bit of a push in the back, but it is what it is. Okay. Okay. So this is coming right out of halftime. And the Cavs are probably like, all right, the number one guy we got to stop is Gary Trent Jr., okay? Let's make sure we play him better. So Gary's going to come off that little screen there by Boucher. Then he's going to get another screen from Boucher here. And you'll see the Cavs already made an adjustment. So you'll see Kevin Love, instead of before when the Cavs were dropping back, they're going to put their big man at the three-point line. Trust me, Kevin Love doesn't want to be at the three-point line, but listen, there's a lot of... I don't think the Cavs wanted Gary trying to score 44 points. In any case, not a great screen there by Boucher. Actually, the Cavs do a really good job fighting over the top. But again, as you'll see here, Gary Trent Jr. with an elite step back move. He's going to drive hard. Then he's going to step back 1-2. And that's a really good contest once again. Like that's as good of a contest as you can get without blocking the shot. But Gary's able to get pretty high on that, even though he's stepping back. And I mean, that's ridiculous. That's when Kyle says tough shots, that's what he means. That's a tough shot. Okay, that's not a tough shot, and that's just bad defense by the Cavs, who, have had other problems to deal with here. But OG's gonna drive, he's gonna draw two guys to him here, and then what he's gonna do is he's gonna kick out, because that's smart, okay? Because he's gonna draw two guys here and he's gonna kick out. This is a play Pascal makes a lot, where he takes a hard drive, he's gonna pull two guys to him, and then he's gonna kick out to a shooter. And at this point, both Cavs, they should have communicated here, because both Cavs close out to Malachi Flynn, including Okoro. And Gary Trent reads this, and you'll see Gary, he's here right now. He's going to relocate just a little bit further down this way, so that the closeout eventually from the Cavs is going to have to come longer, and it's going to be late. You'll see Gary move 1, 2, 3 hops, and now he's over here. Okoro has to come out, and yeah, wide open three. Basic basketball right there. All right, this is outrageous, man. This is outrageous. So Gary Trent Jr. is going to work a dribble handoff with OG Anunoby. The Cavs, I mean, OG could have set a better screen here, but I think he wanted the screen to get the ball back. Honestly, sometimes when you don't set a solid screen, that's part of the reason is you just want to get the ball back. In any case, not a great screen on Colin Sexton, but enough to force the switch, because the Cavs are that worried. And again, you'll notice the Cavs are much higher now on defense when it comes to Gary Trent Jr. And Dean Wade's going to try to move and slide with Gary Trent. And Gary's going to drive hard into him, neutralize the defender, kind of push him back a little bit, and then elevate. And again, that just speaks to his strength, man. Like that's a tough shot. That's a shot that like Kawhi used to always do, where he would drive into the guy, and because Kawhi he's just strong as fuck, like he would just push the guy back. And Gary's got a little bit of that in him too. Oh man, come on. This again, So this is actually good defense by the Cavs at this point, right? So they're gonna have, looks like Malachi Flynn's gonna come off a dribble handoff with OG Anunoby. Malachi's gonna drive to the corner, and this is a play the Raptors run all the time. So it's a hammer play. So what happens is it's gonna be a pick and roll on one side of the floor for the point guard to go downhill towards the baseline, and then at the same time there's gonna be a screen here for a shooter who's gonna go to the corner, and then Malachi's gonna deliver the pass across the baseline. The Raptors run this play out of timeout all the time, and so you know, Freddie Gillespie here, I would say he didn't set a great screen. And that's probably one of the few times he didn't set a great screen. He literally just joined the team though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't fully know the play. In any case, not a great screen. He doesn't actually get any contact on Taurean Prince. So at this point, when Gary Trent catches, you know, he notices that, look, if he just went up for the shot here, you know, he could have blocked. Taurean Prince's momentum was moving towards him and stuff like that, so he decides, okay, I'm going to put the ball on the floor. Good close-up from Taurean Prince, though. He's under control. Gary Trent's going to drive past, but that's fine because the Cavs are like, okay, we have help defenders here. Two guys, Garland and Love, who can contest, right? It's not like Malachi's a threat right here below the basket. And Freddie Gillespie, I mean, he just came in. Like, you can maybe let him shoot the ball. And the help does come, but Gary just shoots over the guys again. And not only that, he banks it in. Like, that's unbelievable, man. That's unbelievable. Oh, that's another really good play. I mean, it's good play all around, to be honest. But so they're going to have the double screens here for Malachi. Malachi going to his left. That's his bread and butter. Not a bad screen there from Freddie, but the goal of the screen is for Freddie to then set a screen on Gary Trent Jr.'s man and then come off and shoot. And then what you'll notice here is that Gary's going to cut one way as if he's going to use that screen, but then he's going to cut back the other way right there. He's going to cut back the other way and make the cut. And again, he's trusting that Flynn's going to be able to pick up on this and make a quick decision and basically react to Gary Trent Jr., who's basically calling his own number here and improvising a little bit. And Flynn does exactly that. That's a great pass because that, even though it looks open, it's not, because he needs to be in stride to Gary Trent Jr. And Kevin Love's pretty long. Like, he's not mobile, but he's long. So you'll see this pass right here. It's right on the money, and you'll see Love almost gets a fingertip to it, but he doesn't. And it's right there. Gary Trent Jr. doesn't have to cut off his momentum. And then, yeah, I mean, Sexton does help pretty good in terms of his late contest, doesn't foul, but Gary Trent is able to get the finger roll to drop. I mean, that's beautiful all around. And again, that's just great counter. Like, when you're a really good shooter, you need good counters too, because just if you're just gonna look to shoot, guys can contain you and contest. But that's a great counter right there, and we've seen multiple good counters from Gary Trent. Man, I don't even know what you're supposed to do about that. There's nothing you can do about that, man. That's just called that's disgusting right there. That's actually a disgusting play. So Gary's just gonna go ISO here, man. Not gonna use the screen, not gonna do nothing, just gonna drive. He's gonna see two guys on him. He's gonna see Love in good position here. To be honest, I wouldn't mind if the ball rotated here, but Garland does make a good read here to help on Boucher, because there's, you know, Bembry and Stanley are both non-shooters, so they can afford to help. And so I don't know if that was going through Gary's mind. I think Gary was just trying to shoot. In any case, Gary's just gonna drive on his man, step back, and just pull over the shooter, over the defender, man. He's just gonna pull up over the dude, and I would say even a bit of a foul. Like, I mean, it's pretty good defense, but he does bump the shooter. Like, there's not much landing space at all for Gary. That is a foul. To put your body that close to the shooter, like, that is a foul. But Gary's just able to make it. Like, that's an unbelievable shot. Oh my goodness. Okay, this time he finally gets the call, but this is his last shot of the game. He's bringing the ball up again. He's going to get a high screen from Boucher, and Boucher is going to do a good job. No, I'm going to take that back. Boucher did not do a good job here. Okay, Okoro's still right on Gary Trent Jr. here. And so Gary's going to read it. He's going to see that the Cavs might want to help with their two guys here. Love's in good help position. Garland's in good help position. But you'll see very soon that they just evaporate from the play, because Gary's going to take one dribble here, he's gonna little slow down, hesitate, get his man to maybe kind of close in here, but instead he's gonna freeze the help defenders with that extra little hesitation dribble, and then he's gonna burst through again. And now the help is not there because he's basically fooled them from thinking he'd actually drive, but instead he does actually drive, goes through with the left hand, switches over to his right hand, and he's able to get the layup to fall. This time the foul is called. Clearly Okoro's going over his back. Look at the way he's releasing the ball right now. He's not even looking at the basket. And that shit still went in. I mean, this is an unbelievable night from Gary Trent Jr., who, listen, man, he has been really, really impressive as a Raptor. He's moved to scoring up to 19 points per game. And one thing that's really impressive to me is that he's taking just as many catch and shoot threes as he is shooting pull-up threes. And he's shooting actually a better percentage on pull-up threes than he is on catch and shoot threes, which is really, really impressive to me. And I thought this was an aberration, but then I looked at his Portland numbers, and they're the exact same. He took over 3 pull-up threes per game, and I think that's a part of the shot creation spectrum that he's able to do. I mean, when Kyle says he's able to make tough shots, that's what he's talking about. When you saw in this video is a lot of step back jumpers, a lot of contested jumpers, an ability to counter defenses who are trying to overplay him. And he's a very, very smart scorer. He's a very aggressive scorer. He's a very confident scorer. And, you know, obviously I echo every Raptor fan in saying this, but he's been a joy to watch since he's arrived at the trade deadline. So thanks everyone for watching. Again, these are still works in progress, so please let me know how these things can be improved, and I'll catch you after the next one.